Yeah, so it's been a while since I streamed, and a whole bunch of things happened. I had to sell my piano, so I haven't been practicing regularly. Uh, but a few days ago, I bought a pianica or a melodica, whatever you want to call it, and I'm having fun with this instrument. It's really amazing. And for those curious, I just bought the Yamaha, the one that was recommended on Amazon. I think it's the one of the first few that shows up, and I think this it's holding up pretty great. I'm having a good time. As for what I was practicing over the past few months, so I've got a hold of the Mark Davis book on jazz, and it covers a whole lot of stuff related to bebop soloing. And I did a lot of practicing of those Barry Harris half step rules um, on dominant scales. And then mostly the enclosure scores by Ben Patterson and the blues scales course by Ben Patterson. And recently I've been um, playing with iReal Pro more often, so it's not just a simple metronome. I still use the metronome for basic practice sometimes, but more often I reach out and use iReal Pro and been mostly playing over 12 bar blues. Uh, I am thinking of picking up some standards on the pianica, and thinking about nearness of you and uh, almost like being in love. And I think for now I'm still just getting used to the instrument, but I think soon I'll start working on these two standards now. So yeah, it's I'll record a few things of today's stream. I don't think it'll be a long one, but yeah, here it goes. So what I'll be practicing today is mostly blues scale. Maybe I'll practice that with like triplets and 16th notes. And right now I'm seeing that I've been using a few set of enclosures that work for the blues. Like in my opinion, these work best. So I'm trying to extract as much as possible I can from these enclosures and build solo lines. So as I practice, I will talk a bit about those. But but yeah, so let's get into today's practice. Um, right now, uh, so I'm gonna be practicing the blues scale in B flat, as in the B flat major blues scale. So and I'll be practicing the blues in B flat. And the enclosures that I was mentioning are so the first one is on the third of B flat, and the other one is also in the key. The other one is also for the B flat 7 chord on the third. So the difference was, so the first one starts a step above the D, and it's two half steps above D, then one half step below D, and then resolves to D. and the second one was, so this one was E flat, like just a half step above D, and then a tone below D, which is C, then D flat, and then D. So, and similarly for E flat, the ones that work. So these two work for the G, which is the third note of E flat 7. And then for the F7, I mostly end up using just the second one, which is. And then a couple others that work are these two note enclosures. And I mostly end up using these on the B flat 7. So far, to my ears, like I haven't been able to make the other ones sound good. So, like for the E flat, so I don't fool around with the other ones that often. But I think even with these, it's possible to create a whole bunch of solo lines. And another thing I wanted to mention is that this instrument is helping me think more about just the right hand, and I don't have to worry about the left hand. Uh, Another thing is that the fact that its range is limited, it reduces my ability to like fool around with too much of vocabulary. So in a way, this limitation is actually good for practicing. And the third thing I wanted to mention is that the connection with breath. So as a pianist, we tend to not pay attention to our breath, but for trumpet players and saxophone players, it's how they have to play the instrument. And because of that constraint, it naturally helps them build solos that have that kind of space. And I am really working on this particular aspect of the instrument so that I am more connected with the breath, and uh, it it makes my solo space out naturally, so it doesn't end up sounding like one idea after another. So I think that's good. And yet another thing that I like about it is the fact that I can make a single note louder just by blowing more air, and I can hold on to that note. So so that crescendo is something that is not so easy to achieve on a piano. Maybe you need like tremolos or trills or repeated notes to get that kind of effect. Uh, because as soon as you play the note, it just dies. So on a piano, it's not really possible to achieve this effect. And something I use in my solos is like I hold on to a note and let it go across chord changes. So something like the other day I was holding on to the D flat o- on the E flat 7 chord and the B flat 7 chord, which is the 4 chord and the 1 chord. And I think it, like, sure, it's not anything virtuosic or flashy, whatever, but I think there is more that you can squeeze out of just that one note because of this dynamic variation that you can add to it. So, yeah, I'm honestly having a blast while practicing on this instrument. And if you're a pianist who wants to try out something else, and you're you're just like finding that it's going nowhere on the piano, then maybe you could look into this instrument. I had bought a guitar a while ago, but I I sold it, and I used to practice a lot, but I wasn't able to spend that much amount of time with the instrument, and I used to just naturally gravitate towards the piano. And now with this instrument, I think it's a lot more easier to pick up and practice. It's so small, I can leave it on my desk. So whenever I'm taking a break, it's like I have my Bluetooth speaker right next to me, my iPad right next to me, and I just fire up Ariel Pro and I can just start playing. So yeah, it's very refreshing, and it's definitely made me practice more. Uh, so yeah, this is really great. But anyway, I think this is enough of chit chat for today. It's been, I don't know, 12 minutes. I've been just talking. So now I'll get back to practicing. Yeah, basic blues, nothing too crazy, but I I think it's still fun. Um, I think I'm practicing softly right now, and yeah, otherwise this instrument is very loud. And um, what else? I think some ideas they don't conclude that well. Uh, so it's like it starts out properly, but somewhere along the way, I think I lose the line. But it's something I've been just observing. I try not to be super critical about it because it takes my attention away from the solo itself. So, which makes things worse as I keep going. Um, so, so yeah, let's do the same thing again. This time, instead of the blue scale, I think I'll be more in more using more of the enclosures and arpeggios to build the solos. So when I'm thinking about enclosures, I noticed that for the F7, I end up using more of the blue scale anyway. Um, because I think I don't know how to work with this A natural because it sticks out and it's just to my ears. I know people build solos with this, but to my ear, I'm not able to imagine a lot of the solos yet. But as I said, I think it's still enough of a vocabulary to build solos, and I don't run out of ideas, and at the same time, like, I'm very aware that it sounds very similar over time. So I do know that it can be like just, okay, this guy is using just the blue scale and enclosures, but I'm just practicing first off, and second is during a real jam session, it's like I'm only going to get one or two solos or one or two choruses to solo, and like it doesn't matter how much vocabulary you have. So if you're only going to get two solos for a particular standard during a jam session, that's all you have. Unless you have like a full gig with a number of standards, I think most of the audience isn't gonna know. So at least for where I'm at, I don't need to worry about it. In the end, I'm just going to play a couple choruses, and like that's the end goal for now. So in the near term, I'm only thinking about playing at some local jam sessions, and I am not super focused on, you know, building my vocabulary too much, because I only get a few minutes in a standard, maybe 1 or 2 minutes if it's like a fast standard. So it doesn't matter, and I will mostly stick to whatever uh, 20% jazz I know, so that I can squeeze out as much as possible. And I don't know if it's gonna have an 80% impact on the listener, but I don't think it matters in the end, or at least it doesn't matter for now. But what else do I play now? Um, I think now, instead of building lines, I would focus on just the basics for the next one, where I am playing an enclosure and a chord tone, and I either I will start with the enclosure and follow it up with a chord tone. So basically, so in this I played the enclosure over D and then followed up with F, or I could do the opposite where I think this one doesn't work. So if I'm thinking B flat, then starting on the A flat and then leading to the enclosure in D. This one probably doesn't work as well, but maybe I could do. So this one is the uh, A flat, F, and then an enclosure over D. And this is mostly the minor blues 7, the minor blues scale, but it resolves to D. So you kind of end up mixing the two scales. One, two, three, four, one, two. Okay, but instead of again building solo lines, I would much rather um, stick with the exercise. So it's gonna sound like an exercise. And the other thing I've also noticed in my solos is most of them end up on the tonic. I think it is fine for the blues, but I think I should start paying a bit more attention to it and end phrases on a different note, like a note other than the tonic. So here we go again. That's it for today. Thanks.